Jozalpa, Nepalbhasa Times या अमेरिका नेवा खलाबला जाजो सोइसना डीपी हनेबपी सकले सुकुमी भाजपी मेजुपिन्ट डुनुगलन यान्चना जिपी थन राजीव श्रेष्ठ अनिल रञ्जित सुरेश किरण आश्रय ताम्राकार कृष्ण देसार मार्केण्डे मानसिंह प्रधान व जी प्रवीण ताम्राकार ठौ जिम्स ठन ठौ जिम्स निसोकोगु जिमगु खलाबला जाजो यात ठौ जिम्स ठन अनलाइन मार्फत to khalabala nyaki chena gudu thong jimsa bonachona weka kha motivational psycho humorist bhaju Mark Gorkin wekala Tulane University New Orleans se chidantaka bangka jigu kha weka motivational psycho humorist weka psychotherapist weka team building expert wa wekala yukwe saputana chya digudu weka yata thong jigu to thongne jachongu pandemic crisis yata kaya mental health issue wa to mental human behavior khayata kaya jimsa चाहिँ weka yata thana chikpini nyone hetina gudu ta aji khala wala weka yata laskus ya hetina. Hi Mark.
Hey.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for accepting our request to join Nepalbhasa Times America Newa program. It is great to having you here. We really appreciate your help to be here and joining the talk program.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Thank you very much. Before we start, can you start with something that makes everyone happy? We would like to start with a happy note before our conversation.
Well, first of all, this wouldn't happen, my meeting you, being on this show, if we weren't in a new special crisis situation. So we try new things and we discover new connections. We discover new people. I'm learning all about Zoom and all these media platforms. So sometimes out of adversity, it challenges us to reach out, meet new people, to try new skills. And I think that's one, and we're going to talk more about that. The danger and opportunity in new, challenging, or crisis situations.
Thank you very much. Laul, I would like to ask you questions. I would like to start now with questions. We have come a long way in a short period. In a short period, a lot of things happen, all unexpected things, and all like things like upside down. In this situation, as a psycho-humorist, as expert, as a stress doc, how would you define this situation? How would you describe this situation in brief?
Well, I use the word, it's a crisis. And by definition, crisis means you're in a situation that you don't know how to respond to. It challenges you in very many different ways. And the Chinese have two characters for crisis: danger and opportunity. Now partly we know the danger. That is, as we'll talk about, some people are out of work. Some people have to work in scary situations. But the other part of danger and crisis is that it's going to stir up memories. Some of you are going to remember about the earthquake in 2015.
That's correct.
Anything that's a powerful loss or experiences where you felt out of control, expect that you may have some memories and feelings about that. So that's the danger. The opportunity of crisis is, as I said before, is to realize we can't go through life alone. We need good supportive people. We need resources like your television program to help us understand more. You mentioned websites. Be Well Initiative website is a great resource. In fact, they're even having a program tomorrow. I think it's 11 o'clock Eastern time. And two social workers, Nepali social workers, are going to be talking about how you cope with the crisis of, COVID. So there's new people to meet, new resources to discover. And I just think if we continue to see this as an opportunity to develop, especially inner strengths, and we'll be talking more about that.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a danger and opportunity. I think it has both. We have to think about it.
It's like yin and
So,
yang. It's like
yeah,
yin and yang.
yeah, sure. Yeah, we like every second it's a pandemic, and it's so like Europe and America, and it's happening in Asia too, a little bit in Africa, and we know about it's happening in Latin America, in Australia. So it's all continents. We hear a lot about of the medical issues. Hear a lot about economy. So what about mental health? I mean, how much has does it deserve to be need attention? How much it has to be addressed? Do are we are enough being done for the mental health? That is my question.
Okay. I think you're right. Always, it's easy to talk about, oh, I sprained my ankle or I broke my arm. People understand. But you tell people, well, I've been feeling depressed lately, or I'm feeling really anxious and having this panic attack. Nobody wants to hear that. And people don't want to talk about that. So what do? We suffer in silence. And this is the worst thing, because then you see people not being able to sleep, maybe drinking more, maybe getting into fights with their family members. So we know by not talking about mental health, because we think we should be stronger than that, or you don't share your dirty laundry. It's a stigma. And we suffer in silence. And that's when we really get depressed. It's even the worst when we don't talk about it. That's even worse than whatever we were concerned about. We turn it into this deep, dark secret, and eats away at us. We become more depressed, more anxious, more angry. And that's when you see people doing things that wind up getting them in the hospital. I know where I am in the Baltimore, Washington area, we've had a number of Nepali students who've committed suicide because they were under stress. Maybe they didn't have family here, but they were keeping it all to themselves and ashamed to talk about it. So we know this is not just, well, it would be good to do. No, this can be life-saving.
So is it the matter of like the media has the more role, or the government has to fund it more? How does it like be more practical? How does it happen? I mean, is there
Well,
something
I
that
think
should be done
certainly,
at this level?
yeah.
Is society, or what is it?
Well, certainly more funding, and I think we have seen in the United States, for example, with all the shootings, the mass killings in the United States shooting, they're starting to realize we have to fund more for mental health and mental illness issues. But I think it starts in the family and in the community.
Nice.
Families have to talk about how we're feeling about each other. How am I feeling going to work and I'm worried about getting the COVID crisis? How am I feeling about being laid off? That's one of the hardest things, especially for men, I think. If you've lost a job, that strikes at your heart, at your identity. Who am I now? And this is a very powerful questions. So the family and the community. One of the things in the Nepali community, we know the importance of community leaders, having colleagues and friends that you can talk to. Maybe you're not ready to talk about it with a family member, but find a community member in your community that you can talk about it with. And of course, if it really gets tense and pressured, talk to a professional, a counselor. For example, I'm involved with Be Well Initiative here, and we have a website, but we also have people that can talk with you. Or we have connections in Nepal. So if you can contact our website, we can also direct you to good people to talk about your feelings and your situation within Nepal.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I need to mention about the websites, bewellinitiative.org and stis.com. I checked your website, and there are very helpful informations on COVID-19. There are resources given with 10 points, and the videos, I think they are being very helpful at this situation. I think most of the videos are very helpful. for all age group. So I ask my viewers, our viewers, to check on them too. Stressdoc.com and bewellinitiative.org. So I would like to move into another question.
Sure.
So you have written multiple books. One of them is Practice Safe Stress, and so yeah, that's great. Yeah, I see them like most of the books are very helpful in present condition. How I mean, is it like your website? Are they available in as ebooks or for
Well,
download?
I'm trying to think. Two of them are available as ebooks. A book on the four faces of anger, which really helps people understand that anger is, it's not a bad thing necessarily. It can be bad or good, depending on your understanding and how you express it. And the other is the role of technology. I call it preserving human touch in a high-tech world, and that's also an ebook. You can get the books on Amazon, or especially the anger book. You can send me an email at stressdoc@aol.com, and I'd be happy to get you a book.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now I'm moving to the third question. There are different age group, different professionals, doctors, police, bankers, essential workers, government workers, and so many professionals are in different situations. Some are working from home, some are without job, and some are working for their risk of life. And for positivity, I mean, what do you recommend to different in this like different categories? How do you what would be your suggestion and recommendation for positive attitude and thinking in different condition situation for all the professionals?
Yeah, no, I think you make a very good point. Probably, certainly people that are working from home, maybe they've had some experience with that. It still is important that you create a structure for yourself. Don't get up at a regular time, get to your desk, do your work. Don't just lie in bed. But it's really the people that have been laid off or have lost their job or have been furloughed. That's going to there. You may even sense some grief, and we can talk just briefly about the grief stages because it often involves a sense of shock and maybe depression. How could this happen? And then we start getting angry. It's not fair. I need to work, and there's sadness, and this is all part of the grief process. So that we need to have these feelings as we're going through these very unexpected situations, or like having even to just go into work these days is like you're a hero. You're taking risk. And I think I shared with you that a friend of mine in California knew a woman who worked at a law firm, and the bosses said, you got to come in, but we'll keep it safe, social distance. Well, there were more people there than they said, and lo and behold, she gets the coronavirus at home. Her husband gets the coronavirus, and a week later, well, last week, he died from the coronavirus. So I don't say this to scare you, but to realize, make sure your workplace is safe.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And if it isn't, think twice about going in.
Yeah, while moving to next question, I would like to also mention like you have worked with government, U.S. Army as a team builder, consultant, and also U.S. Postal Service as an expert. So that I would like to mention. And having said that, so for the professionals, for government workers, do you have anything to say on this point?
Well, I think what I'm hearing in talking to some government workers, some are at home, some go in one day a week, some are starting to think about how we're going to return to the workplace. I think each person has to evaluate. If you have strong concerns about, do I want to be around a lot of people at this point? I think you can make a case for saying, at least for the next 3 months, I want to telework. Don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. I think that's very important. I think there are going to be enough legal issues and concerns that most government agencies will respect your request. So I think that's the most important thing, is really decide what you're comfortable with.
Yeah,
come
thank you
up
very
with a
much.
strategy.
Yeah, I would like to move to another question now. This is a little different. So, what does it help more now? Is it spirituality or materialism? Ironically, our religious people are more in comfort and have more advantage now. So, my question is, does the spirituality help in this situation? And does the religious people have more advantage at this kind of situation?
I don't know if what I'm still saying is materialism, where we're always outside looking to find things, buy things, go to the movies. Yes, if your whole life is revolves around materialism, this could be a difficult time for you, because really this is a time now for more things about our essence, human nature and mother nature. It's a time to get to know yourself better, develop, we talk about find a hobby, have really honest conversations with people, spend time doing meditation or self-reflection. We'll talk more about that. But it's not a time of just keeping busy and buying things. It really is a time to look inside and look at nature and see that larger, more meaningful connection, I believe.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I would like to move to another question. This is about the young generation of all age group, and they have never been through the situation like this, and
Yeah.
they have been busy throughout the year, for education, for activities, for going out with friends, for dining out and everything, for all kinds of. This is they have never been. Nobody has ever been. Alive in this kind of situation. So, what would you say for
I'm
different age
telling you,
groups?
I'm glad I'm not in my 20s and 30s at this point. My hormones, I don't know what I'd be doing. So, but the point is, yes, you're absolutely right. This is a shock for this young generation. Absolutely. And as we were talking earlier, there's a lot of loss. My graduation, the formal end of the school year. There may not even be a summer vacation. So again, we talked about the grief. There's going to be some anger and sadness in dealing with it. One thing the youth do have is they know how to play computer games. So there'll be some entertaining, and especially those games that involve other people, so you're working with teams, anything that really gets your mind stimulated and you're collaborating with people. That's a good thing, not just being passive. Don't overdo it. Don't spend 10 hours at a time on the computer. That's not healthy. uh, Start support groups with young people. Get on Zoom with each other and talk about. Just don't talk about the latest television program on Netflix, but talk about how are we coping with all this. Talk about your feelings. What's the frustration? Have these kinds of more intimate sharing with your friends. That's one way to turn a lemon into lemonade, so to speak.
Yeah, you have been a keynote speaker and you have been working with different big companies and organizations. So, especially for those who are at the time for career level and like who are graduating from school, college, and universities, and for them, it's even really a hard time at the time of making a career. So, for
Sure.
them, especially, what would you say to them?
Well, I think it's going to take patience. Use this time, for example, use this time to develop knowledge in areas that are probably going to become very important in the future. Um, develop skills at computer skills. It's going to be a lot more online learning. Webinars and teleeducation is going to explode after this. So you want to be thinking one step ahead. What areas really might be interesting and needed, in the future. So the key is not to be passive. Develop new skills. Use this time to take classes to add to your, you know, bag of knowledge.
Nice. This is I would like to ask similar questions Because for exploring, when it comes to exploring, we have to get out of the house most of the time, need a lot of materials and a lot of support. So in this time of a closed door situation, what is the thing to explore? Is explore the mind, or what is it? What we can explore? I mean,
Look,
for
look what I'm exploring. I'm going to be on Nepali television. This whole new technology world gives us new possibilities and new opportunities for connection. So that's, I mean, while we are confined, I don't think we're shut off from the world. And I think that exploring is twofold. One, these kinds of new connections with new people, new societies, but more, what do I want to develop inside of myself? What's the kind of person I want to become? What are the kinds of connections with people that I want to develop? Exploring is, and it's challenging. It is challenging. See, for me, exploring technology was like a big challenge. I didn't have to, for other people, it's learning to have conversation with people, or learning to do public speaking, or learning to do other things that are a big challenge. But find something that challenges you this time and practice it and really try to develop it. Write in a journal, start writing poetry, paint. Just give you something in your mind, a challenge. I think that's the critical.
Yeah, great. Yeah, we are in the middle of our conversation, our program. So I would also like to, it's very important for everyone. Your website has given like COVID-19 resources. I would like to have that mentioned, because I would like to recommend everyone to go to the website and watch that. That's going to be very helpful. But I still want to give us some hint on that, a little briefing on that.
Well, there are a couple of articles that I think you mentioned, and I don't have the. If you want to mention those 10 points, there an article with 10 things that people should be involved with. Maybe I can say one part that's in the article that is very important, and sometimes this gets overlooked when we think about staying healthy, and that is one of the things you can do to probably minimize some of the danger of COVID is to make sure your immune system is in good shape. And I have what I call my formula for natural speed, which I think will really help your ability, your stress resilience level. So let me quickly go over that. Natural speed, yes, stands for sleep. Make sure you're getting at least 6 or 7, if not 8 hours of sleep a night. I mean, this is very important. Without sleep, it can lead to pre-diabetes without consistent sleep. We need that sleep to help us, our body, rejuvenate itself. P stands for priorities. And I mean, is the ability sometimes to say no. We've got too much on my plate. I'm focusing on a number of things right now. I can't help you with that. Call me back in 2 days. I will try to help. The key is that you have to sometimes be willing to disappoint people. It's not that you're a bad person when you say no. As I like to say, a firm no a day keeps the ulcers away and the hostilities too. Third, exercise. Actually, the third E is empathy. Find a stress buddy, someone in your life you can really let your hair down with. Of course, I can't let my hair down anymore, but you know what I mean. That you can really open up and be truthful and honest and genuine with. It's very important to have someone that you feel you can have that kind of honest sharing with. The second E is exercise. Get out and walk around for 15, 20, 30 minutes. Just keep your body moving. That's a great stress reliever. And the final D stands for diet. And here, I think I once wrote, D is for a healthy diet. Many would rather die than try it. But actually, I think there's time now in this less rushed world to really plan your eating, to maybe eat more like, if you're no longer in Nepal, eat more like you did when you were in Nepal. Invariably, people that come to the United States wind up having a less healthy diet than they did at their home countries. So this is sleep, priority, empathy, exercise, and diet. It's not just good for stress, but it's very good for your immune system. And this will help fight potential viruses.
Yeah, I have this from your website. That's sounds interesting to me. Like a discover a hobby and learn to set limits. I mean, can you please say something on that?
Sure. That's what I was talking about, setting no. And that is, it's really saying, I can't help you right now, or no, I'm not comfortable doing that. That's not, and for example, we talked about how important it's going to be in your workplace to let people know, you know what, this doesn't feel safe. That's part of setting limits, speaking up and speaking your truth and making sure you're standing up for yourself and or for your children. It's a lot of times parents will stand up more for their children, but forget to stand up for themselves. So setting limits is, it's not that I don't want to help you, but I have to plan it.
Nice. What about the hobby? Like discover a hobby.
Oh, um, for me, one of the hobbies I've done is learn how to use Zoom, for example. I run it now. I
Oh,
facilitate a group for seniors in a Unitarian Universalist congregation. So learning technology for me is like a hobby. But I also wrote a poem yesterday about
nice.
COVID and Donald Trump, and that was a lot of fun.
Wow.
So there are things, hobbies could be painting, writing. Maybe when you get outside. I was just talking to a woman who does. She's a teacher of ballroom dancing. So when we come back to a new normal, there are going to be opportunities, hopefully, to rediscover hobbies. But it's a way of nurturing your soul.
Yeah, I think that the number 10 is also very interesting. Just laugh. I mean, I think that I cannot miss asking about what is
Yeah.
just.
Well, in Asia, I think it was in India, where they were doing that yoga laughing. And they would just get hundreds of people together and they would just start laughing, even though it felt fake at first. But after a while, it was just a natural, spontaneous, joyful community of people laughing and just enjoying themselves. Now, of course, sometimes you want to watch your favorite TV show. But I think
There
it's
has
the
to
other,
be no reason for laughing. Just laugh. I
just
mean,
laugh.
don't look for the reason, not for the jokes or anything.
You know what? People also, because as you mentioned, I give talks on public speaking. I'm a public speaker, and people will sometimes say, "Were you always a natural?" And it was, I learned to tell stories about myself, my own, imperfection. And in fact, I do an exercise with groups. I call it the 4-word exercise. And it's just very simple. Share an embarrassing moment. And you know
Wow.
what? You just share an embarrassing. You see how you started smiling just thinking about it. Just share an embarrassing moment, and you share with people. And you know what? Initially, there's quiet, and then someone says, "Okay, I'll tell a story," and they do. Someone then says, "Well, that was good. Let me tell you about my embarrassing moment." And suddenly the room is abuzz with laughter and, hand motions and body language. Having the courage to share an embarrassing moment is so universal. Maybe that's one of the few things that every society understands: laughter and embarrassment. We all have it. It's a
Yeah,
part
that's
of
cool.
nature. And the more that we can laugh about it, talk about it, not be ashamed of it,
Yeah.
it's a gift we're giving ourselves, and it's a gift to others, because you know what? Oh, Mark could make fun of himself a little bit. Maybe I can do the same thing. Maybe I don't have to be afraid to say that. And that's a wonderful gift. It's freedom. It's the freedom to express ourselves.
That's perfect. Thank you very much. And I'm going to the next question, which is like a similar question. Like I'm talking about, it's a kind of ironical question. Though it has our societies around the world has been very friendly with yoga for decades, and yoga has been very attractive. It's everywhere now, and we even have International Yoga Day in June, I think. So is it time to be the same treatment meditation? I mean, it is time to give the same treatment to meditation now, or does it deserve to be in this kind? I mean, not just because of pandemics. Is it time to talk about meditation?
Yeah, I think it is. I think more and more we're getting into neurocognitive science, brain chemistry, how the brain impacts our thinking, our feeling, our way of seeing the world, and learning how to slow down our mind through meditation, to focus, but then to clear one's mind. So you don't have to be always worrying about this, worrying about that. Just having some inner peace is not just good for stress, but I think I understand why yogis and other meditative uh, specialists engage in this, because I think it really does create an opening in our minds where we see a connection to, whether some people call it a higher power, the cosmos, whatever it is. And so I think meditation is a way of, first and foremost, looking within and finding. We need meditation to know, oh, my shoulders, we keep so busy. I'm not even aware that I've got this pain in my shoulder. We need to really heal. We need mind, body, and spirit. We need to pay attention to all three. Meditation is a wonderful way of that, and talking with people, sharing honestly about who I am and what I'm feeling. It's a beautiful way of creating some of that love connection.
Yeah, I like that. Talking to people. I mean, that's wonderful. Yeah, I would like to move to another question. This is about the productivity, and what is most people doing now? Say kind of shutdown, lockdown, whatever you name it. This is like we still looking for productivity. As you earlier mentioned, that materialism is seeking getting things, buying things, or having owning things. But when you watch TV and movies, as you said, set a limit in your resources too. So what is your recommendation for? I mean, what is most people doing now, and whether there has to be something like need some you have your from the point of view of productivity. Do you have any recommendation?
Well, again, we as we've said before, some people are stuck at home. Some people are reluctantly going to work. So, there could be depression, there could be anxiety, but there's tension all around. Productivity for me is don't just sit by the television, because it's too passive. Productivity means getting up and what's a goal? What are the 2 or 3 things I want to work on today? Having a plan, I think, is very important. Maybe even sharing your ideas with someone. They say creativity is more and more they're realizing that creativity isn't the lone wolf that goes off. It's what we're doing. You have a partner who's helping you with the technical side.
Yes.
You're interviewing me. I'm the guest. It's like a dance we're doing together. This is a partnership. It's teamwork. It can't happen if even one of us isn't here.
Right, you're right.
That's productivity. Make calls with people. You're still working. Develop a project that you can share ideas with. I think I told you, one of my clients has found someone I don't know, I think in Australia. He lives in DC, and they're playing chess at night together, and they love it.
Nice.
So this is how we be productive.
Yeah.
Not
So
in isolation
yeah,
only.
And I would just like to ask, like, how much TV is good, how much movies? It's a very simple question. Like,
How much what?
how much TV and how much movies do you recommend? I mean,
I,
that is
I,
something easiest
I
thing
don't
that
know.
people
I
during the
wouldn't I
thing.
wouldn't spend more than an hour or two a day
Oh,
watching movies or TV. That's my preference. I
yeah,
like to
yeah,
read. I like to read.
yeah. I would like to now bring to the question before we wrap up, and that is you work with Nepalese diaspora and you have been with Nepalese people. What is your impression and what is your advice for them in this kind of situation? There is in New York, like there is more, I mean, problem, and even this DC region is also have a lot of, I mean, this area too. So I would like to ask, it's like top 15, top like that's why like general impression about Nepalese diaspora and looking having that experience. What would you recommend to our Nepalese community?
First, I want to absolutely say it's been a privilege and a wonderful learning experience to get to know the Nepalese community here. Met some wonderful, wonderful people. The thing that why I got involved is that one of the community leaders said, I have to help my community learn to talk more about mental health issues. And
Right.
that was critical. So because there still was too much shame and stigma, and you don't talk about these things. And so the thing I would hope and wish for the community is that we can create groups, online groups now. So if you're not comfortable talking face to face with someone, here's a perfect opportunity. You can share through a screen. There's a little more distance. Hopefully, it becomes a little safer. The other thing that I think is important, and hope you won't, is when I found the different groups, the Nepalese men have a tendency to talk a lot, and the women don't have a chance to say their piece. So I would recommend that we work towards really more open communication between the men and the women. Of course, it's changing with the younger generation, but this is a good time for really to opening up channels of communication and not let status differences
Yeah,
get in
sure.
the way.
Yeah, that's really good point. Yeah, I would also like, we have talked about individuals, family, but it is also, I think, very important to talk about helping each other, helping other communities. I mean, this is a real crisis for not just one country, even one continent. I mean, this is not like other epidemics, but this is different. That's why this is something I would like to also mention.
Yeah, I think you mentioned. I'm sorry. I think you mentioned like in New York, there's a place called Adhikar that's very a real powerful community organization, and we're going to be starting training in here with our group. And as I say, tomorrow go to that Be Well Initiative website. There is a training program on dealing with stress in the time of COVID. Um, but they're training community members to reach out and talk, even if it's like on a phone bank or a Zoom site. So there are things you can do to help your community. Create these kind of forums, these groups where you can get people sharing and talking with one another. There's always going to be room for people that are saying, you know what, I have a purpose to help my community. And I would very much agree with that. And start your own group. Sit. Don't be a follower. Be a leader.
Beautiful. Yeah, like I think I need to want to clarify more. Like most of our viewers are in Nepal and around the world, so I would also like to ask how they can reach you, so that if they need help with any suggestions or any of talk about your books, talk about your activities, your experience, how do they reach you and talk to you? What is the medium, like email or website? What can you please?
Well, websites first, stressdoc.com. My email is simple, stressdoc@aol.com. Be Well Initiative, especially if you want to eventually talk to a Nepali speaking counselor or therapist. So Be Well Initiative is a very good resource. Adhikar in New York is a very good resource. So I'm more than happy to, you know, communicate, share whatever I can. and really my goal is to help you get to the best resources that I know of. So that's how I see my role.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that ends our the questions. And as we started with a happy note, now
That's
I would
right.
like to end with a happy note. I mean, in this
Okay.
kind of this situation, our conversation. It was great, and
Okay.
I would just like to wrap up with a happy
Okay.
note.
Yeah, that's right. You
Up
said
to
it. The wrap up. You said the right word. The magic word. The magic word brings out. Oh boy.
you.
Brings out this sorry looking hat. Whoop, whoop. There we go.
Wonderful. Yeah, look nice.
And let's see. And the glasses. This is my Blues Brothers hat, black sunglasses, and
Wow, look
even a tambourine. And as I tell people, I'm pioneering the field of psychologically humorous rap music. And as a therapist, calling it, of course, Shrinkwrap Productions. And some of you may know
nice.
that the slang word for a therapist is a shrink. So I'm doing Shrinkwrap. And as I like to say, buckle up your straitjackets. Here we go. The Stress Docs Stress Wrap. Ready? When
Sure.
it comes to feelings, do you stuff them inside? Is Tough John Wayne your emotional guide? And it's not just men so proud and tight-lipped. For every Rambo, there seems to be a Rambette. So you give up sleep, become wired and spent, escape lonely frustration as them all content. It's time to look at your style of stress. You can't just dress or undress for success. Are you grouchy with colleagues or quietly mean? Hell, you'd rather talk to your computer machine when the telephone rings. You're under the gun. Now you could reach out and really crush someone. The boss makes demands, yet gives little control. So you prey on chocolate and wish life were dull, but office desks a mess, often skipping meals. Inside your car looks like a pocketbook on wheels. Those deadlines, all that aggravation. You only have time for procrastination. I made you feel guilty. You want to confess. Better you should practice the art of safe stress. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Perfect.
I know you're all applauding out of relief.
Sure, yeah. Give a second.
But I must say, I do that for SAN, which is a nurses association, and the director, Manju Sangrula. She loves it and says, "Oh, Mark, come back and do another shrink wrap." So there it is. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
It
thank you
really
very
was,
much. Thank
it
you
was a
very
lot
much.
of fun and very thoughtful.
It was great talking to you, and I believe it is very helpful to our viewers. It's great interview, and thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. Take
Wonderful.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.